Hi everyone, it's Friday. Just before I pressed record, I just had a thought. I wonder if J-Lo, when she does her team meetings, if she does them from her car with the dirty sunroof, because we had some rain. I wonder if she got her start doing her videos that way. Just something to think about for me, and no one else cares. Thanks for joining. And thanks for everything, just all of it. Thanks for listening to my jokes. Thanks for thanks for subscribing to my podcast. Thanks for listening to me tell lame jokes and some hitters. Sometimes I've got some hitters in these jokes. Just thanks for all of it. And we're building a community here. I have made a commitment to post a video 3 times a week, upload a video 3 times a week. And it seems like easy, but it's not. Let me just give you a little behind the scenes so you understand that I'm committed to doing it because I'm committed to adding value, and I'm committed to trying to be helpful in any way that I can. So number one, all the videos have got to be 15 minutes or less because I'm trying to get them uploaded to Instagram as a Instagram video, and Instagram limits me to 15 minutes because they give you more time as you grow followers, whatever. I'm not into that, but 15 minutes or less. So I've got to keep it short. I've got to get to the point, and I've got to make sure I'm in a parking lot and they're dumping the trash at the In-N-Out. Now, really? Now? I'm not at In-N-Out. It's too early for that. I am, however, cinnamon dulce latte, soy milk, no whipped cream. You're welcome. Anyway, 15 minutes or less. Then I've got to make sure I'm giving you content that actually makes you want to give a about what I'm saying. So I want to be relevant. I want to be helpful. And 3, I've got to make sure that my energy's up. I'm ready to give you something from a place of peace. So I can't allow external circumstances, what's going on in my life, the fact that my car didn't start yesterday. It's resolved now. I'm sitting in it and driving it. But the fact that whatever, fill in the blank. It's 2021, but I was doing this in 2020. There's a commitment level that I've made, and I'm staying committed to it. But I want you to know that I'm putting effort here, and that's part of the topic for today's discussion. Today, on Fridays, I like to talk about love. Today, I want to talk about how love translates into you keeping promises that you make. And let's put them into 2 categories. I spent 20 years in corporate America, 20 plus years in corporate America. I know the braids don't make me look so young, right? I look so young. Anyway, so 20 years in corporate America, and as a person who led meetings, led teams, led projects, I had to hold myself accountable and other people accountable for completing actions that would help us to advance what we're doing, finish the project, meet a deadline, make sure we didn't end up owing anybody any money because we broke a contract clause. So being a person of your word translates into work daily. So, right, you're supposed to show up at a certain time, do a certain thing, respond to certain actions that are assigned to you, solve certain problems. And those are promises that, because you signed on to be the employee or because you own the business, you have to get it done or get someone to get it done. That's one way we keep promises. And that's the most common way, right? But let's go to our personal life. I want to apply the same principles of me when I was in a meeting, and over the years, anytime at the end, we summarize what the actions are, meaning who owns the responsibility to complete this. You made a commitment. So it's almost like you don't say this, but you say, you promise that by January 29th, you're going to send this file. Or by January 30th, you're going to answer this question after you do your research. Those are promises. But let's take it to our life. What promises are you making to yourself And are you keeping those too? Because with the job, obviously, we keep them, or we keep them as best we can because we want to get paid. I feel like I'm yelling. But what about the ones that we need to keep to ourselves? The promise you said to drink more water, Tara. I'm doing okay, so, sometimes not great. But if I can remind myself and hold myself accountable to doing that and forgive myself when I miss it, like we forgive people when it's, oh, sorry I didn't get back to you. You hear that all the time at work, right? Oh, sorry, with our business with COVID, it may take the shipment three or 4 more weeks for delivery, and we forgive them. But are you forgiving yourself when you break your promise? Or are you saying, why bother? Because I can't do that. I can't drink the water. I can't exercise. I don't want to save the money. I keep going to Amazon. I know, I am. I have Amazon pulling up every other day. And then I sometimes forget what they're about to deliver. But today's meeting is about promises you keep to yourself. They are just as important. I have a promise that I'm keeping to myself that I need to get my daughter out in the air during COVID. She doesn't have any colleagues. She doesn't have school to go to. She is not zooming into classroom sessions. She doesn't have any siblings. It's my responsibility to give her stimuli, even though we can't go to a indoor play place. I'm not going to playgrounds. I'm going to parks, but I'm not hanging out on the heavily populated playgrounds. She needs fresh air. She needs interaction. She needs this. In the middle of COVID, it's hard for a toddler because you don't get the same experiences of going to visit people, of going to birthday parties, of all the things. My commitment is to get her out into the elements, get her out into the sun, get her out to the park. And sometimes on the way to the park, she'll fall asleep in the car. And so mommy just listens to a podcast or writes or works on an article while the baby sleeps in the back. But we make an effort, and she thinks she's going bye-bye. She's sitting in the car eating the snacks, so it's like the same thing. It's just that we didn't get out. We looked at the park. We didn't get out at the park. Anybody with a toddler knows you don't mess with sleep time. If they sleep, you better let it right out, because that is your best interest. That is in your best interest. What promises are you keeping or not keeping to yourself? The promise to set a dang boundary. You know, some people don't know how to set boundaries, and I'm just now learning. Boundaries when you say this is standard of how we interact with each other that makes me feel peaceful. And that means when you call me or text me, I may not respond right away, but you're not to take that personal, because that doesn't mean I don't love you. But I'm not going to go chasing after my phone after every text, after every call, after every voicemail to make sure people don't think I'm mad at them or angry at them or this or that. I love you. So if you text me, I still love you, even if I don't text back till 3 days later. But if I'm on the phone, I may text back in 2 seconds. As soon as you get like, whoa, is she sitting on the phone? Maybe I am sitting on the phone. Boundaries. What's another example of a boundary? Masks have been such a boundary. I'm not going to any events or anybody's house without wearing a mask. And if you're not in my immediate circle where I live with you, don't come to my house without a mask. Just don't do it. It's decent. It's a boundary. Keep the promises to yourself. What promises are you making to yourself? Is your promise that you're going to pick up around the house more, make your bed every day? I'm a firm believer in it. It makes me feel like I'm getting myself together when I make my bed. So I make my bed every day. What promise do you make to yourself? What's another example? Exercise. You don't have to run a marathon, but you could click on YouTube and say, okay, easy arm exercises with cans or with bottles if you don't have any weights. If you have weather to do it, go for a walk. If you don't have weather to do it, turn YouTube on and walk in place. If you made a commitment and a promise to yourself that you're going to get your heart rate up, YouTube has a million videos that are free. You don't have to get on these expensive apps. You don't need no Peloton bike. I love mine though. What promises do you need to keep to yourself that you're not going to allow people to steal your joy? So if someone is going to criticize you or give you all this feedback about how you're not doing something right, or if they don't engage with you and you're trying to be upbeat and laugh and they're not in the mood to do it, you need to protect your energy and put it someplace else. Maybe you don't need to be around that person at that time. So instead of snapping, the boundary that you set, the promise that you keep is that in order to keep your peace, you walk away from discussions that are not going anywhere. So maybe I'll be right back. You go outside, go for a walk, go for a drive, go to another room. Or promise you could keep to yourself is to have a tough conversation. This happens at work and at home. Tough conversations are hard. You may need to practice, but if you set a promise, if you have a promise that you've made that you're going to address something in your personal life or at work, practice with someone. Use the words, do some role playing, and talk to somebody that you trust about what you're nervous about, their response. Let them have that response and practice it. And then engage. But don't avoid, because to avoid having a difficult conversation is to not keep a promise to yourself, people. And that's what we want to do. You keep the promises at work, keep the promise to yourself at home, to be kinder to yourself. Okay, I'm going to stop eating all this sugar. Okay, but just start small. Maybe you don't have ice cream every night. And I can talk to myself on this. I love Haagen-Dazs so much. And fortunately, I'm a snob when it comes to ice cream. So if your ice cream is subpar, it'll stay in the freezer for a long time and I'll just maybe eat some of it. But if you're Haagen-Dazs vanilla bean, I'm stalking you. I am stalking you. So rather than eating Haagen-Dazs every night, and I have done it many times, eating it way too much, once a week, a couple times a week. And when I feel like I'm getting out of bounds, ease up. Don't go for 3 weeks. Find a way to keep your promises to yourself. They are just as important. That's all I'm going to say about that. So just as I close out, just a couple updates. Let's see. Podcast going on strong. I'm going to film another episode. I'm going to record another episode about vision later tonight. I have 3 episodes up. I'm very proud of them. Thank you for the feedback you all are giving me on those. The quotes are at the printer. So excited about that. I'm going to do a test run in terms of how they look, how they feel, to make sure they fit well into the holder that I have. Then I'll start posting pictures of the quote with it in the holder so you see the product that I'm developing. I'm very proud of that as well. And that's it for Friday. I appreciate your time. Thank you for not being too fixated on my window. Not window, it's my sunroof. I love this sunroof. See, it extends. What? Yeah. It's one of those extended sunroofs. That's one of the reasons why I love my car so much. Anyway, you got this meeting, which is probably what J-Lo would do, have a meeting in her car. Or Oprah. She probably meets in her car too. So I'm in good company. Thank you for attending today's team meeting, and we will meet again on Monday. What do you want to talk about? Comment in the section here for Instagram or Facebook. I also have an email address for my podcast, the Team Meeting Podcast @gmail.com. Either way, I'm open to your comments. I'm welcoming them, and I thank you for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Have a fantastic weekend. Keep the promises you make to yourself. That's your action. Be kind and keep your promises. Okay, guys. We'll talk soon. Thanks for joining today's meeting.